Good morning. How are you? It's Thursday, January 12th, 2023. And this is the Hostos Student Leadership Academy annual winter workshop series for 2023. This morning, I'm happy that you've joined us and are going on a continued adventure with us into a new year. We've had some great speakers over the last 3 days. This is our last day of the week, and I'm always proud to do something that is unique, I think, to Hostos in a lot of ways. But as a part of the Winter Workshop Series, we mentioned that we've been doing it for about 15 years. And you've heard from the different speakers throughout the course of the week that they've done it for 10 years, 5 years, whatever it is. We had a first person speaking for the first time. But I like to try to invite back one of our alumni who's done some great things with their lives to talk about not only their experiences, the growth, the challenges that they've overcome, but also to share some of the great successes that they've had and to give you a real workshop from the perspective of somebody much like yourself who might be studying at Hostos or at CUNY and may want to do this at some point. So this morning I have the pleasure of introducing one of our alumni, Ms. Yunerys Liriano, who is the extent of everything with a Hostos student. She went through different programs. She was part of the student government. She was part of the student leadership. She went on to study at George Washington University in Washington, D.C. She's continuing on her educational mission. She's also done some extraordinary things beyond that. And so without further ado, I'm going to turn this workshop over to you, Yunerys, and I wish you all the best. Good to see you.
Why do you say you wish me all the best? Okay, never mind. Don't answer that one. So good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Jason, for that great introduction, as always. Our amazing mentor, our amazing guy. My name is Yunerys Liriano. I was a hostess in 2014, graduated in 2016. Between 2015 and 2016, there was a semester break, and I did the business management program, and I discovered the Leadership Academy on my second semester at Hostos Community College. And since then, I had, as you see me here, 2013 for now. How many years have been, Jason? It's gonna be almost 10. Yes. Okay. A little bit of myself, introduction. Here we have the list so that can help you understand a little bit more. Hostess graduated in 2015. I studied business management. I was a great, apparently, student. I had a 4.0 apparently, and that was great. I started on my second semester as a student for American ITSU, which is a program that Jason can talk a little bit more about. It's a program that chooses fellows all over New York, New Jersey, California now. It's a great program for everyone who's a first generation student. Great program where you're going to be exposed to all industries, great mentors. And if you want to know a little bit more about the program, Jason was a great resource in that. I was also a member of the Pi Theta Kappa in 2014 during my time at Hostos. I was a member of the Alliance of Business Students in 2015. That was kind of a new fraternity that the business department had acquired at Hostos. I was part of that one. I was also president for the Almas Club, which is the Latino Maximizing Opportunities Club at Hostos Community College. I don't know if it's still around, but we were able to open that club. And as Jason mentioned, I was a member of the student government at Hostos. I started as a senator and then went up as a part-time and evening commissioner. After my time at Hostos, I went to work at the office of Senator Jose Serrano in 2016. And the way that I acquired that, by the way, was going through the Model Senate, which a lot of Student Leadership Academy students go through as well. I got that internship and then decided to move to politics and international affairs and moved to Washington, D.C. and got accepted to George Washington University without a scholarship. I graduated with a double degree in international affairs and economics in 2019. I was a member of the Phi Sigma Sigma sorority chapter, the Kappa chapter in 2018, which is an amazing sorority. If anybody wants to join, I'm able to say great things about it. Sigma Sigma is all over the United States and it has its base in Maryland. And it's a great opportunity if you are in that college experience and you want to experience more. Joining a sorority, joining a sport club, it's everything that I will suggest you do during your college time. Something that I did recently, I was Miss Amana 2022 for the Misses of Dominican Republic. I actually ran for Miss of Dominican Republic this year. And I didn't win, unfortunately, but it was a great experience where I got to learn a lot about myself and learn a lot about others, a lot about a new world. Something you will understand and get to know about me is that I love to experience different things. And you can even ask Jason that I always come up with a new idea of something new that I want to do. So I'm always exploring and looking at the world differently. To me, the world is kind of like my playground and I'm just here to play around. And as last year, I joined Banco Popular or Popular Bank as part of the wealth management and private banking team. We are overseeing everything that has to do with the US operations, including mortgage, residential mortgage, commercial mortgages, private client insurances, reward programs, and anything that goes into that realm. So the way that our workshop is going to go is that I love to talk and I love to hear others talk as well. And my inspiration for this workshop was that I was one sitting down when you are, listening to all these great people talking about leadership. And I came up with a team of people that were, I believe, really competitive as leaders, were really outspoken as leaders. And something that I deal with a lot was like, oh, I'm getting all of these workshops, I'm doing all of these things, but how am I a leader? How do I go up as a leader? So something that stuck up with me. Oh,
We don't have the PowerPoint.
oh yeah, I know. We're sticking on the same slide. Yeah, don't worry. So something that stuck out to me a lot was all the different ideas that I got from leadership at the time. And one of those was people are actually born leaders. And myself as a shy person, I never felt really empowered to call myself a leader or to call myself one, because I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm naturally not born a leader. Like, see me, I wear glasses. At that time, I was wearing glasses, as you can see in that picture. I was wearing glasses. My hair was a mess. And you can ask Jason, I didn't even speak at all. Like, I was just on a corner, looking at everyone. Then we could see my process. But I really didn't feel empowered enough to call myself a leader until I put myself in the needed situations that I had to. And that's what I call impromptu leadership, to put yourself through those situations. And I thought, what was the best way that I could teach impromptu leadership? to people who, yeah, what's up?
No, we don't see anything on the PowerPoint screen.
If we're still not moving from this PowerPoint. Okay, I'm gonna do this for you. Okay.
We didn't even said there's a picture. We didn't see that either.
Okay, there you go. But I'm not even talking about this yet. Okay. But so for me, my main question when I designed this workshop was how do I teach people who are learning how to be leaders and are sitting down in the same place that I was, to learn what leadership is. And there's really not a way to teach leadership other than experiencing things. So this workshop will keep processing in little steps, as I call public speaking, decision-making, conflict management, with a little bit of exercises that I had gathered from my experience at Hostos. And you're gonna see some of those exercises are gonna be like, oh, what if there is a problem with a club at Hostos? Or what if we had to speak with a delegation in the model national United Nations, which is something that we actually go to, that you can ask Jason. I had experience with that. Everybody who goes through that has that experience. But now that we are on the slide, I want to mention, what does impromptu actually mean? Impromptu means something that is made, something that it's formed out of the moment, is improvised. The synonyms: unrehearsed, unprepared, unscripted. And through your journey in leadership, you're gonna find yourself that, listen to me, if you go out in a trip with Jason, Jason is gonna be, can you speak with that council member? And I'm gonna be like, bro, I don't wanna talk to that council member. I don't have the experience yet. I don't know that person. But then it's those types of moments that you're gonna be saying, but I need to push myself because I'm a leader. And this is what I'm supposed to do. So this is what I call the sporadic, improvised, not improvised, impromptu leadership moments. And as I had in the slide, I love numbers. I always love numbers. This is why I do finance and wealth management. But there's an article called "Are Outstanding Leaders Born or Made?" And I found this article, and it has so many great insights. I can give you more details later if you want on the article so you can read it. But in the study, they studied this pair of twins, and they had them on different environments, and they put them in different situations. And even though they had the same genetic form as twins, they didn't have the same leadership attitudes because they were not put in the same situations. Because, of course, there's a group that is controlled, a group that is not controlled in a research like this. So the one that is in control was exposed to most in leadership environments that they have to go out there and put themselves in a leadership position. And it actually proves that leadership is not something that you're born with. It's not something that comes from genetics. It's only at 30%. When you are affected by environmental influence, you are affected by the circumstances on the outside, you gain a 70% of leadership experience, or what we will say on this point, leadership gene. So you can create leadership. You are not born with it, but you have to put yourself through those experiences. Okay. There are things that a leader should be able to learn how to spontaneously do. You want to jump into this role of leadership, there are things that you spontaneously need to do. And according to the whole international school, there are a few skills that a leader needs to be able to spontaneously do. And this is something that I didn't understood because I was looking at these other people that were part of my leadership group at Hostos, and I was like, wow, I wish I could speak like them. And I was looking at them and they were making all of these decisions and delegating people around. And I was like, how do you do that? Where do you get that skill from? And it's just something that came from the experiences that they had acquired. How do they are so good at talking to others? We had someone in our leadership class at the time that I was like, how did this guy manage to be friend with everyone else? How is he a social butterfly like that? Because I wasn't one. I was the shy one. So when you're the shy one, you get to experience everyone around and see that, and you're like, how is that person such a social butterfly? Like, how does he do that? But I never got to understand that he was exposed to this type of environment, this type of situations, and I wasn't. Um, but at the same time, I was feeling a certain type of way. I was feeling that I was lacking something. And if that's something that I want you to take out of this, it's like you don't feel like you're lacking something. You feel like you have to expose yourself to these situations. You're not lacking anything at all. You are a leader. You being here and learning about leadership, you are a leader right now. And you have so much potential and so many things, great things ahead of you. So don't ever feel like you are lacking something. You just need to experience it. But okay, we're gonna jump to that first skill. And that first skill is public speaking. Believe me, it took me 3 workshops to get here. It took me 3 workshops. It took me a lot of public speaking in National Motor UN. It took me a lot of club speaking. It took me a lot of student government speaking out there to be able to get to where I am. And honestly, I still feel nervous and I still feel like I'm not doing a great job because English is not my first language. So I have been here in this country for 8 years and I have put myself through stuff on purpose to get to this point. But it's really nerve-wracking and totally understand. But there are things that you have to put yourself through. I don't know if anybody has taken a public speaking class. There are a lot of public speaking classes, and I remember my first semester, I took a public speaking class with a great professor at Hostos that I still talk to. She's amazing. She's a great actress as well. And I remember that what she told me was the best thing that can happen is you thinking on the spot. When you think on the spot, you are able to talk as much as you can. It's okay. It's okay to have an outline. Like I have my outline that I'm looking at, but my outline literally has 10 lines, unfortunately. But it's a skill that you acquire by putting yourself in that environment. So just talking a little bit about it. Public speaking is the presentation of a short speech without an advanced preparation in a course where someone is asked to say a few words on a special occasion. Just like I said, we went to an Albany trip, and I remember Jason telling me, I need you to speak with that council member about Hostos. And I was like, what do you want me to say? Like, I don't know what to say. But thanks to that, I was able to get that experience. I was able to get into the model Senate. I was able to work for the senator that I was able to work. And I am able to do all the things that I'm able to now, especially if I can go back now to a couple of months ago. I had to meet with a client that I had no idea about. And I just had to introduce myself and be like, oh, we have all of these products and all of this and that. And it turned out into a really great conversation, but it took a lot of me introducing the product of the bank, introducing what he needs, introducing all of the little stuff. Then that was really public speaking on the spot. The advantage of this kind of speeches is that it's spontaneous, and it can be received well by a group of people. So I said that all of the skills are a way of creating impromptu leadership that will later on create a leader of you, or a better leader of you. So here are the step-by-steps that I think are useful to creating an impromptu public speaking. On top of creating all of the things our professors tell us, I think that having a quick mind and be like, this is what I want to say, this is my main point, this is what I want to express, and please pace yourself. This is even something that I should be saying to myself right now, because I'm speaking super fast. But pace yourself and be able to allow the others to listen to you. When you pace yourself, look at me, I'm even decreasing my pace now. When you decrease your pace and you allow others to follow you up, you're giving them time to think what you're saying. And with that, you'll be able to create a better conversation because they are able to process what you're saying. Also, be brief, concise, and efficient. This is interesting because I'm not following any of this, but I'm telling this to all of you. And this is the point when I want to hear all of you talk. Every one of the skills are coming with an exercise that I want you all to talk about. So I'm gonna be putting you all on the spot. So please look at this prompts. I'm gonna give you 30 seconds, 30 seconds, just 30 seconds. Think about something to tell me about these things. Tell me about your best friend. If you're writing a book, what will it be about and why? The best parts of living in New York City, and what is the biggest concern for the future? Gonna give you 30 seconds. Yes.
So we're not seeing your screen. You might see it, but we don't see it.
What do you mean?
I mean, we're looking at a black box that says loading. We don't see your screen.
So I have,
We
wow,
don't see the prompts.
wow, Jason, you're not helping me out here.
I think you should try like stop share and then do reshare.
Okay, you're not helping me here. You're supposed to be helping.
I was trying. That's what I was raising my hand before.
I saw you raising your hand.
Okay. So
Oh,
we need to see the PowerPoint.
okay, are you seeing the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so let me see if I can exit. Okay, exit full. It will be
Yeah.
better if I exit the full screen.
Well, we see it. So now,
Okay, do you see it now?
yes.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
Might that be a connection issue or something? Okay, okay. So here is the public speaking exercises prompt. I'm gonna repeat again. Tell us about your best friend. If you write a book, what will it be about and why? The best part of living in New York City and biggest concerns for the future. I'm gonna pick on someone because if you say you want to do it, it's because you're ready to talk about it, and that's not what I'm looking for. So I'm gonna go for Canoe. Is Canoe Serbo? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Can you give us a little bit of your best friend? Can you talk to us about your best friend?
I mean, I don't have a best friend, honestly.
It could probably be like a family member or just a
Yeah,
regular friend.
yeah, yes, for sure. Just talk to us about someone that is important for you, that you feel like you just think of them on the spot and you can talk so much about them.
I mean, my sister is, I mean, she's one of the, I can say, the best person that I know. Like, she's strong, no matter like what she go through. Um, I mean, I'm not that fluent in English. That's why I'm kind of cutting off. Yeah, she has like 17 years old and she's really tall and she's really talented. She sings very, very well and like she likes to dance also. She wants like to be the world miss one day.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, that is it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
for coming, and thank you for talking about your sister.
thank you to you too.
Okay, I'm gonna pick someone else. Yes, you want to say something, Jason? Okay, let's hear from someone on. Let's listen from Shana Morales, about the best part of living in New York City. Shana.
Okay, I'm sorry. My mic was off. I would say the best part about living in New York City is just the diversity. Is really good. I think that New York City is actually governed pretty well, and the democracy here in New York City is really good, in my opinion. I feel like there are a lot of resources and opportunities just for you to be vocal about your ideas, and people, the politicians, and just people in the government, and as well as just community people who, even seniors who are very vocal about, their ideas, what they think, their opinions, and their experiences, where they're adhered to, and people listen to them so that they can, make changes. I think that we here in New York City, people really work as one. And even though, we're all have our own thing going on, but, when it comes to a lot of situations, we have, that I've noticed, have a system in which we govern the city pretty well and welcome many different people and diversity of people to come here and be able to share in that same opportunity. So that's what I think is the best thing about New York City.
Yeah, that was great. Fantastic. That was a great description of living in New York City. I love it. I think that you keep your main point and you keep bringing it over and over again. Obviously, your main point was talking about diversity, and then you went ahead and mentioned, even though that there is so many diversity and we come from different cultures and different backgrounds, people and people had their lives separated, and how we live in New York City. There's still that sense of diversity, there's still that sense of community. I think that that was perfect. Thank you so much, Shannon. That was really good. Okay, who next? Oh, okay. Why do this keep happening to me? Okay, let's go for Adama. Membege. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Talk to me about a book that you want to write. What would you write it about and why?
Maybe I would write about my own life, my experiences.
Okay. Can you develop a little bit more on why you choose that as your book?
Because I just find it like interesting. Some of the experiences that I that I had on my life. So
What would you think would be one experience that people will learn, would love or will learn to hear from?
maybe about like childhood experiences
Mm-hmm.
or growing up experiences, something like that.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. And I understand that public speaking can be hard sometimes. Believe me, that's how I started because I didn't speak at all. But something that can keep you in check when you're doing public speaking, as I mentioned, finding out your main points, your what's, why, and how are great, and just keep being concise on what you're saying. But it's okay to be sweet and short as well. But of course, we want to make a good impression and we want to give as much details as possible. And we want to let know the speaker that we know about this topic and we feel confident about it. Okay, I have one more prompt and oh, this is a deep question. Who I give it to? I think Ashley. Ashley, what is your biggest concern for the future?
My biggest concern for the future is me getting into a 4-year college, pursuing a good career. I want to pursue a career in social work. I want to help people, build people up. I also want like a leadership position because I do want to develop people and and help them go in the direction of where they need to go. um, the reason why I'm kind of concerned about me not being able to get into a 4-year school is because I used to go to Hostos back in like 2010. And when I was going to Hostos, I wasn't really that like career driven. I wasn't really like focused on school. I was kind of focusing on other things. So like my grades weren't so well. So now it's kind of like biting me in the butt now because I'm trying to do something now. But I think with hard work and dedication, I think I'll be able to acquire the things that I need and the things that I want, and I'll be able to get into a 4-year school.
I should have picked another prompt for you because you had this thought already. It feels like you but thank you so much. That was a great one, and I'm sure that you're gonna be doing great. You are in a great supporting group. Jason, you will ask anything to that man, and that man will get it for you. So you are in a great space to move ahead. So first of all, I appreciate that you're coming back to study after such a break because it's hard. It's really hard. It's really hard to do, and I appreciate you taking your time.
Thank you for your kind words and support, and thank you for coming to speak to us. Thank you.
You're welcome. That was amazing. Okay. So once I didn't speak, believe me, you're going to be next in the next skills. So please, we're going there. Decision making. Decision making is one of the 4 skills, I believe 4 or 5 that I was talking about. And that I think that every leader needs to understand. And there are 4 styles of decision making. And decisions are really interesting because you have to think about everything. You have to think about circumstances, facts. You have to think about the bigger picture. You have to think in so many ways of so many other things. And I tried to put together these 4 styles so we can try to identify what a decision or what type of analysis a decision is going to need. And the first one is a decisive decision. Decisive decision, I believe, is one of the most important ones because as leaders, we are always look at the top. We are always look at what we're gonna do next. So a decisive decision is really, really important. And
What's up, Angel? I'm okay, man.
and I think that decisive is something that we have to pay attention, as well as flexible. Those 2 to me are the most important ones. And those are the styles that I would suggest anyone who's starting to be a leader or who wants to be a great decision maker to focus on. So a decisive decision making process is the one that value action, speed, efficiency, and consistency. I see this decision making a lot on managers, supervisors, good division leaders, good leaders of huge departments. I see these ones as people who are bringing in and implementing new projects in a company or implementing a new project in school, planning the next steps of a really big decision. Flexible decision making is something that, again, focuses on speed and adaptability. I think that a flexible decision maker is someone that looks and pays attention a lot to its environment, wants to make sure that everyone around it's feeling comfortable with the decision and it has been taken care of when the decision has been made. Not saying that they are accommodating everyone, because when you're making a decision, you're not accommodating everyone, but you are making a decision when the majority of the group is being accommodating, is coming in with the higher hand, as we say. Hierarchy one analyzes grade deal information and is expected to contribute. And this one, I think also goes into what I believe is a manager position or a group division leader. When you have spent your research, you are looking into things and you are finding ways to contribute to your team. And then integrative, it's analyzing all the frames, looking at all the views related to the decision. Okay, for this one, okay, where are you going? Okay, for this one, I want you all to think of a situation when you had to make a decision on the spot. And I want you to not only think about the decision, but I want you to think about the steps that you took on that decision. I mean, to make that decision making. Because I didn't write down an example for this one because I think that it helps us better to reflect ourselves that given a situation when we don't have that much of the insight first. So I want to hear from you. What decision have you made? And how was your decision process? And we will review that and we will say, this was a great decision. And if we think that it goes into the decisive, flexible, hierarchical, integrative. Of course, it might not fit in any of those, but it's great to review the way that we make decisions so we can learn in the future how to make quicker decisions on the spot. So I am going with Rosalia. Rosalia, tell me a decision that you have made and how you went ahead to make that decision. Roselia. Roselia? Roselia, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Can you tell us, or do you remember a decision that you have made in the past and the way that you went ahead to make that decision?
Quiet.
We can hear you. You're a little bit far.
Oh, sorry. How about now? Better?
Can you? Okay, yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. I will say that the decision I made was sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. Was not a long time ago.
Mhm.
And it was a decision to start going to college. So I applied to Hostos, and it was because of the lifestyle I had. I'm
Mhm.
22 years old, and I have a kid that is 5 years old.
Mhm.
So I saw that I need to have a better lifestyle for him and for me. And I think college was a great decision with the help of my family and friends. And I think, yeah, that's a decision I just made recently. And I think it was a good decision that I made for me.
Yeah, definitely. Kudos. Kudos definitely to you. Making a decision like that is a big one. And I think that you took a really decisive decision on this one. You took away all the factors, you value what you're going through, you value the speed of it, you value that you needed to start studying to get ahead, you value the efficiency of having to go back to school and the efficiency that that will give you in the future. So to me, that was a decisive decision. That was a huge decision, and I think that was a fantastic decision. And again, you're in a great supportive group, and if you need any help on anything, we are here to help you. And thank you so much for saying that. And don't be nervous. Believe me, I am
Thank
the
you.
person. I am the one who's the most nervous here. Believe me, because I have been speaking here for like 40 minutes. But thank you so much. Um, let's see who else. Hmm. I want to go with Brian. Brian, are you there? Can you talk to us about a decision you make and the decision process that it took you to get to
Yeah.
that?
Hello. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I made a great decision a few years ago, maybe like in I think 2016. Unfortunately, I was part of a complex where I would perform maintenance for several years, and I was a part of a huge layoff where they laid off like 10 to 15 of us. So during my unemployment, I seen my unemployment dwindling down, and I started to see these commercials about going back to school. So I was considering like taking some online classes with I can't remember the name, but they just send you a laptop and you just take the online courses. Then I continue to see even more commercials about going back to school, like at a community college such as Hostos, and financial aid was free. So I just jumped on the opportunity because sometimes you don't get a second chance. Because when I was at my job, all I was doing was basically going to work, going home, going to sleep, waking up, going back to work, and I was doing that for several years. And you see yourself doing other things in life, but sometimes you got to take advantage of opportunities that arise in your for the betterment of your future. So then, long story short, I went back to school. I was kind of embarrassed because I just lost my job, but nobody knew that. But it was just a thing, and that was in my mind. So once I got over that, I started getting involved with such great leaders such as Jason with the Student Leadership Academy. He introduced me to the SGA, and then things started to pick up for me from there. And then I started to like collaborate with other students in the school. And I'm currently studying radiologic technology. And I'm in my last semester before I start that program. And then I'll be doing x-rays, MRIs, and CAT scans in a hospital setting. And I'm just here to provide leadership and support along with Jason and all the entities that we are involved with in Hostos at the moment. And I just want to try to help build up other people's morale that might have faced the same type of adversities and struggles that we all face. And just to let them know, like, everything is going to be all right. And, as long as you have a good head on your shoulders and a good support and system around you, great things are going to happen to great people. So, yeah, that's just a little bit of my story.
I love how everyone in this group is so supportive. Thank you so much, Brian, for saying that, and that everything's gonna be right, because that is the motto that I use every day. That everything's gonna be right. Take one day, one step at a time. And thank you so much for sharing your story and sharing that decision. And again, thank you so much to everyone who's with the Leadership Academy. Like, wow, thank you for all of this. You guys are amazing. And if I had to put your decision into one of this 4 decision making, I want to say your decision is between flexible and decisive, because you have some action, you look at efficiency, you look at consistency, but you also look at flexibility and adaptability in certain things. Because you find your way of taking classes online, and you find your way to collaborating with others and joining programs and things like that. So I'm between those two as your decision. But thank you so much for sharing. That was great. And I love the energy and support. I love it. I love this group. I love this group, Jason. Okay. Who will be my next victim? Okay. I'm gonna pick Sabrina. Sabrina, can you talk to us about the decision you made and how you thought about it? Sabrina, am I pronouncing it right? Sabrina.
I don't have any decision that I've made recently or in the past off the top of my head right now.
Have you taken anything? Have you decided between eating fries or eating, I don't know, have you thought, everything is a little decision.
I don't know. I'm a person that kind of just does things kind of on a whim. It's just, I'm an emotional person. So whatever emotion I'm feeling at that moment, I'm probably going to go off of that.
And have you thought about the reason why you decide to be more emotional than logical?
It's logic behind it, but it's more emotion when I make the decision to do whatever I'm going to do.
Okay. And when did
So
you
I guess one decision I made was
Mhm.
right in the middle of the pandemic, or I should say right after it started, a few months after it started. I made the decision to quit my job that I was there for 5 years. I was in the hospital and I was at my wit's end. It was something I thought about for a while, and then pandemic hit. And that was just my reason, like, okay, well, I don't need to stay in the hospital because people are getting sick, people are dying, and I just don't want to be a part of it. So I walked in, and that morning I said, I'm not working this shift and I'm not working here ever again. And I quit.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sabrina, for sharing that. I appreciate the fact that people take priority of themselves than their jobs. That's something that us as a generation, and I should have been saying this because this has been recorded, but us as a generation, we don't value ourselves so much. In I'm gonna speak to from myself. I have been working hours and hours and hours crazy to meet goals, to the point that I myself had to go to the hospital and get an IV for a whole day and then go back to work the next day. So I kind of can get to understand a little bit how the decision of putting yourself first and leave your job can be like, even though I haven't left my job once. But I think you're really brave for putting yourself first. So I appreciate you for saying that and taking that decision. I will place your decision into integrative. I think that you analyze a lot of friends in your life and all of the views, and you related that to your decision, even though it was made as an emotional decision or following with your emotions. I think, as you said, there is a lot of logic on it, and I will see it as an integrative decision. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, we're gonna move to the next skill that a leader should have, and that is conflict management. As the decision making, I see conflict management as something that has different models. And I have provided those different models here with this 5. If you ever decide to study international affairs, this is something that you're gonna have classes about. Like, there are papers and classes and so many discussions about conflict management. If you're doing diplomacy, this is gonna be your everyday life, trying to not only do public speaking, but if your country is feeling some way towards another country, this is gonna come up. So the 5 conflict resolution models are avoiding. Sometimes we tend to avoid conflict, but even though you avoid it, there are ways that you can get out of the conflict, but there are ways. Accommodating conflict management, competing conflict management. This happens a lot when a country wants to get a deal, a trading deal, and they want a certain percent, and the other country wants another certain percent, and then you start competing towards that. Sometimes, let's say now, for example, China, Russia have gathered together to get oil and not including the US. And now they are in a situation of the US wants that oil because US most of the time gets oil from Russia, but Russia doesn't want to do any deals with the US now. So that is when the competing comes in. Now the US is looking for another oil supplier, looking for another way to start supplying oil, and then they start competing. And then we're gonna have 2 forces in let's say the United Nations and the General Council talking about oil, and then that's going to create more friction against other countries. That can be an example of a competing conflict management or a situation that would require for that. I would say competing and compromising might go hand in hand because when you compete, you have to negotiate sometimes. Sometimes the US, if we keep going with this example of the US and Russia, China, and the oil, sometimes the US may have to compromise and be like, hey, China, I know you have to deal with Russia, but can you help me out here? So there are gonna be sometimes situations in which parties are gonna have to compromise. Collaborating. I believe that collaborating is one of the most advised conflict management resolution models. Because when you're collaborating, You make sure that every party is being able to get something out of the conflict. You learn from the conflict, you see the positive, the negatives. You make sure everyone is on the same page, everybody's collaborating. Great, fantastic, we move on. To difference of avoiding and competing. Those are conflicts where more friction can be found in the long run. And here in the slide, I have some conflict management resolution tips that are gather the facts, be proactive, try to clarify the conflict or what's going, of the communication, what's going on, and acknowledge what is happening in the room. A lot of being a leader is understanding your surroundings, your environment, and the people around you. Because this is kind of like a type of survival technique. I will say it. You have it, and I think it's something natural of the human as well. You have to have relationships with others, and even though we say, "Oh, I don't want to get along with this person," on the long run, even at your own job, you have to get along with someone. So acknowledge what's happening in the room, acknowledge the facts, acknowledge the communication, and try to work on it. I think those would be great resolution tips for a conflict. And I think there's so many more out there. As I mentioned, there are classes, there are academic papers. This is a whole monster of a topic, but I'm just summarizing things up in this little slide. Here, I have a conflict management exercise for you. So we have a graphic design club at Hostos. So let's say that the graphic design club believes that the engineering club has taken an item from the inventory. Let's say this happened or something like that. Or there is conflict between these two clubs, right? Let's look at these questions. How do we define the conflict and the way that it's affecting our thinking? So sometimes when we think about a conflict, it can also be something emotional because conflicts are attached to emotions. So how would you define the conflict? How would you define the way that the conflict is affecting you emotionally? Are you being able to think logical about this conflict? Are you able to not see the logic on the conflict? How can you bring the logic in the conflict? What are some negative consequences of this conflict? The relationship is broken. There is no collaboration with the club. How do you see the negative consequences happening in the long term? Maybe because there is a conflict happening between these two clubs, maybe the student government decides to shut them down or say, you're not getting any budget for next year, which won't really happen, but maybe that can happen. Maybe that can be something that the student government decides, or maybe they close the clubs because of the issues. A lot of things can happen. What are some positive outcomes of the conflict? Maybe they become great friends. They start organizing events after that. They start sharing inventory. Maybe they start sharing budgets. They start sharing audiences, graphic design and engineering. There are things that go ahead. They go hand in hand. So they start sharing audiences. Someone who likes graphic design can go into engineering. Engineering can go into graphic design. There is a lot of things that can come out of conflict. So sometimes conflict is not actually bad. And what are four potential possibly outcomes of conflict for an organization? And this is looking at more into how would I describe this one? It piggybacks on the first question, but I think this one is more explaining it into terms like, oh, we got this positive outcome, so it means that collaboration happened. or I don't know, authenticity happen, originality happen, something similar to those terms. So anybody wants, on this one, I'm not gonna call anyone. So if you have thought about this conflict, or you have been in a situation like this one or similar to that one, do you have any different answer, or an outcome, or have you thought about the conflict on a specific issue? And I'm gonna leave this for the open floor. Guys, don't make me call on someone, because I will.
I'm sorry, what is the question?
Yes, so I'm putting a scenario here. This is the
I
graphic.
see, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, the graphic
Mhm.
design club believes that the engineering club has taken something from their inventory, or something similar has created a conflict. So my question would be, how do you define the conflict? How do you go about making a decision on the conflict? What are some positive, negative outcomes? And what do you think would be the next steps?
Okay, the definition affect the way we think about the conflict. With the definition of what happened, I'm confused.
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, like graphic design club believes that the engineering club has taken an item from their inventory. Okay, so they're missing something, they've misplaced something, or they cannot find it. So they are accusing someone. I don't know. The conflict is really between, them thinking that I had to go, I'm sorry. But I was just gonna say that that shows that that there is a conflict that they're having within themselves and their security. And negative consequences is that they're missing things, and they don't know where they are. And some positive outcomes is that they know that they have similar things that are needed, and they actually can, see that they utilizing some of the same things from the engineering club and the graphic design club. So that's what I think about that.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. Anybody else wants to try jump in or thinks about something different? Maybe a way to resolve this conflict?
I
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. You can go.
Okay. Well, I think it gets hard when there's conflict, because sometimes depending on the person's personality, when it comes to asking one another about where is the missing item or stuff like that, it could escalate sometimes.
Mhm.
And then I guess you got to have that one person who's willing to have that leadership to say, hey, listen, it's okay, we're all going to utilize this. Let's just help one another find out and stuff like that. But I think it's a little hard because sometimes my personality, might be a little bit stronger than another person's, and another person might be more stronger than mine. And then I feel like a conflict can come up with that right there. But I think hopefully, they can come to an understanding and help one another to figure out a positive way to figure out the situation. Now, me personally, I don't know how to solve the situation, and I just hope that maybe a peer will help. But that's one of the things I think could happen.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, it's so hard to mute. Sorry, I'm on my phone.
No worries, no worries. Anyone else?
I'm actually going to read a comment. So Gladys Hughes said, I can't unmute, but the question I would ask if there's proof that the engineering did take it, because false accusation can cause a greater conflict.
I love that. Trying to find proof. Yes. Trying to make sure that you had the correct facts. I love that. And I love what the previous person said, that we tend to go with our personalities and emotions a lot. And that happens. That happens all the time. And there is nothing we can do about that. But what we can do is try to find a way to communicate ourselves the best that we can. And communication, as we mentioned, is key. And we have different conflict management styles, like accommodating others, collaborating, and competing. So you can definitely use communication to achieve any of those conflict management resolution styles. And you will find a resolution to that. Honestly, my resolution to this one would be going to the graphic design club as the engineering club, or whoever is saying the item was taken, and saying, this seems to be the conflict. I'm not sure if any of my members have done this, but let's communicate. Let's see if there's any proof that this conflict had happened, or maybe there's a misunderstanding. The item wasn't taken, but was actually moved by a member of the graphic design club and it was left behind. There are a lot of possibilities. So I will communicate. I will offer solutions. I will propose the solutions to the team or the club, maybe the graphic design club. And I will try to get to that resolution. I'm proposing that we, as the engineering club that lost the item or that took it, we're gonna buy something for you, or we will provide the item because we have one in our inventory room. It's, to me, what it's important is having the facts, communicating well, and use your imagination, being creative, and find a solution. I understand emotion can get the best of us, but let's remember, we are leaders. People are looking at us. People are looking into our next steps. And that doesn't mean that leaders have no emotions, but we have to make sure to do the best moves in a proper manner. I'm just gonna put it that way. Okay. The next skill, it's planning. Planning is super important for every leader. Planning is something so important because it provides efficiency, speed, consistency. It helps your team. It helps you as a person. I don't know about any of you guys, but I have like 25 planners. Like, I don't know if you can see my book, but I have like 25 planners with me. Planning is really important, and it's because a leader needs to know what's happening next, or trying to predict what's going to happen next. And I really take planning really seriously. If I could give a if I could give a top 3 of the skills that we had, I would say planning, public speaking, and conflict management. Believe me, I know I spoke about 5, but I think these ones are the really first ones that you should tackle down, and I believe that the other ones will come on as you keep developing these ones. So planning brings vision, brings approaches, brings an idea of action, and brings tactics, brings strategy, and brings role plan, role maps. It brings a lot of great access. And I also have an exercise for this one. So let's say that you are in a community service event, and I'm not gonna say this is gonna happen, but let's say that it's only your team in the community service. We don't have Jason on it, planning and organizing it. It's just you and your team. how would you tackle this organized? How would you bring organization into a community service event that you just came into this event, you don't know the person, but you want to bring organization into this community service event and make sure that things go well? Second of all, if you are a member of the student government, maybe you might have some experience on this one, but how would you tackle at this organized club organization meeting? And we know we have had those before when we want all of the clubs to come in, set their budgets, set what the plans are for the year. So how would you tackle an event like this one? Anybody wants to go first?
Well, pick me, pick me, pick me.
Okay, I have a problem. You know the answer to this one because you have been to this. I will leave you to last. I will leave you to last.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Yunerys. Good morning. Great job. Sally, good morning.
You will give us an answers after I had some people. Okay. Let me see if I can. I will call someone that I haven't heard from. Let's go with Layton. Is Layton Osoria? Layton, are you there?
Yes.
Do you have a planning strategy for an event like one of these ones?
It's all in the description. I like looking through other sources to make a source.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that quite interesting also. And there's also brainstorming.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy brainstorming. And sometimes writing down one's thoughts. They'll equal planning.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Brainstorming. Okay, sounds good. Usually, I like to call brainstorming having a plan B or having a plan A when the person that was supposed to have a plan didn't have a plan. That's a weird, I know that's a weird definition, but that's how I say brainstorming sometimes. but thank you so much.
By the way, Layton's the president of the student government, so he does a lot of planning.
Wait, so I need a longer answer for this one, sir. I need a longer answer for this one because these are situations you're gonna find yourself in.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. I'm coming back for you. We're
Okay.
someone else. Let's get the chance to someone else. Okay. Joseph, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, Joseph, I'm gonna say, how would you tackle a disorganized club organization meeting?
What do you mean? Like, can you explain it to me?
Let's say that you go into the room and there is
Yeah.
the meeting is happening, but then you notice that the organization of the meeting wasn't really going well.
How would I solve it? You mean like?
Yes. How would you as a leader come and bring organization? How would you come and bring organization into this meeting? How would you go ahead and plan organization? This is so interesting.
Well, this is what you're supposed to plan something to have an organization. If you don't plan a thing, there's no organization put into that problem. So we're supposed to have two separate groups, and the Tuesday goes to agreement into the
Okay.
organization, then you have a plan to solve the organization. The organization doesn't work without a plan. So
Okay. Okay. I see. I see where you're going. Okay. I'm gonna get one more person and then I'm gonna give the floor to Stefan.
Okay,
Can
so
I
we have.
try?
Yeah.
Okay, so I believe like if I were in this organized community service event, I feel like I would well, first I would look at what is the most like important thing right now at the moment, and just like the few things, like maybe ask for a few people already there or not there and ask them if they could help. Kind of basically putting like kind of like a mini job for each person as well as myself, so that we can all work together and basically make sure that everything that was not where it was supposed to be can be at, and then the rest of the event can continue. We will be even better because we'll be a lot more organized. There'll be a lot more people helping out.
Yes. Love it. Definitely. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Okay, Estefan, you want to go ahead and give your solution?
Okay, I thank you for finally giving me permission to speak, Yunerys. This is so great that you saved me for last. But before me, I'll be glad to comment again. She said, I just asked the leader how I could help and naturally flow if I get the okay from the leader. Just, I guess, looking for a figure of authority, so to speak. I've been thrown in situations like this by Jason. You kind of know he throws his head first into those kinds of situations and expects you to
does.
thrive.
That's
He
why
does all the time, all the time.
Yo, I will preface this by saying that my first year of doing Model UN, Jason literally was like, you're the head delegate with this person. Y'all two got to make it work.
Yeah.
And we had a room full of people. So I think generally looking back on how you kind of brought organization to that is you delegated responsibilities, or you agreed upon responsibilities and you defined what those roles and responsibilities would be in reference to the team during the overall weekend. And then if somebody couldn't do something or there needed to be a space filled, you had people that were kind of like the in-between filling in spaces and just trying to help maneuver the group successfully. And I think that's extremely important. It's true that community service event, like there's going to be a lot of moving parts and you're going to have to sometimes, share responsibilities. But I definitely agree with what Tiffany said in terms of, Gladys said rather, in terms of finding an authority figure. Like you have to have a defined person that you can go to. I feel like Jason will do this to you guys all the time. If you're in charge of an event, he's looking for you. He's not looking for your team, he's looking for you. Where is this person so they can tell me what's going on with the rest of the team? And he relies on you to kind of take control of the rest of the team dynamic and make sure that everybody's kind of squared away in, and then if he's coming into it, like I'll call him the overboss if he comes into it, it's because you haven't successfully done your job. I have totally been in both. I want to let Jason defend himself because he's touching his head and everything like he doesn't do.
I know. We'll go to him at the end of the workshop. Don't worry. But thank you so much. Thank you so much, Stefan. And I'm just gonna say this because we're here. I was a hostess when I saw Estefan coming into the Leadership Academy, and just want to say that Estefan has grown so much. Estefan has developed as a leader amazingly since the time that I went to Hostos. So I'm so glad that you're here, that you're still sticking with us, with this weird group. And thank you so much for being here. And you have been a great leader and you have developed amazingly. I'm so proud of you when I see you.
Thank you so much. You're about to make me tear up.
Not yet. We're not ending yet. Okay. And we're gonna move to the last skill, which is relationship building. And I have a really interesting exercise for this one because it's something that happened to me. And Jason is gonna know this one. So relationship building is working on building or maintaining ethical relationship, networks or contacts with people who are or might be potentially helpful to establish advances of work-related goals. So something that I regret is that when I was in the Leadership Academy, I wasn't able to do as many relationships that I wanted to, because I was so focused on some other things. Like I remember now being at the Model United Nation and meeting all these amazing people. And now I go back and I'm like, where are all the contacts, LinkedIn profiles, phone numbers of all of these great people that I met? We had students coming from the University of Japan, which is, by the way, one of my favorite countries. And I don't have phone numbers or LinkedIn profiles of any of them. I regret so much that I wasn't able to build so many relationships during my time when I was going out and above, because now I'm chasing my job and I'm like, I don't have time to meet people, to build relationship with others other than my own coworkers. And I have nothing against them, but like, I want to meet people from other backgrounds as well. And part of the Model United Nations was a lot of meeting people outside of my usual bubble. And this is something that I regret a lot, and that I thought to put as the last step on this workshop, because I wish I had done this more. So some of the strategies that I have put together are: be friendly, make connections, ask people questions, overcome your fear of rejection. Believe me, it's gonna come in. Be persistent, learn about other people's culture. Don't be intimidated. That used to happen to me all the time. I used to be so intimidated, and I didn't build connections at all, because one of my first thoughts was like, what does this person think about me? What if what I said is not as smart enough? Like I remember that once when I was at the Model United Nations, I asked the question, what does NGS, I think NGS meant? And someone for another delegation just laughed at me and was like, you don't know what an NGS means? It's a non-governmental, I don't remember what the S meant, but I know it has to do with non-governmental. I went crying. I went to Jason, like, Jason, I want to leave. I don't want to be here anymore. Someone just made fun of me and this and this and that. And honestly, I lost all of the experience. I lost so much time just crying about that, and not noticing that I had so many other people that I was working with, that I was having fun with, that I didn't pay attention to, or I didn't give them enough time to start building the connection. I still remember one girl, she was from India, that I had so much fun with, that I still until the end of the night just working on my resolution paper with her. And then Jason was like, we're out to dinner, where are you? And I'm like, I'm working on this resolution paper with this girl and part of my group. And it's like, I'm gonna send someone to go pick you up. Like, we are having dinner, where are you? But those are, it's so shocking that until this day, I still remember that girl. But I don't have her contact, I don't have her LinkedIn, I don't have anything from her. So it's a position that I wish I could go back and be like, I wish I could have your phone number and build those connections. So that's something that I feel that if you have the opportunity to start building relationship with people, people are so interesting. Don't underestimate anyone. People are so interesting. Even just a small conversation on the subway can become a long life bond with someone, or maybe a job. Believe me, you don't know the many people that I had talked to, that I had a conversation with, that actually were like, oh, but I have a friend that works at that company that you're talking about. Do you want to have like an informal interview with them and they can talk to you about the company? Like, talking to people just makes wonders in your life. And there is a term that I always talk in all my workshops, and it's board of directors. Your mentors are really important. building relationship with your mentors are important. Until this day, my American Institute mentor, it's still there for me, even though I don't text her all the time, but she's there for me. And I have a question one day because she works at Meta, which was Facebook before. And I had a question to her. For me, Meta was like, oh, that's my dream. I want to work in Meta in California. I want to do this, and that. And she was like, listen, okay, you study economics, you study this, and that. And I know that you want to jump into the tech industry, but this is what you might think in the future, and you can think in the future. This is who might be the right person for you to talk to. She gave me all of this different advice. And the point of it is that never believe that no one's going to bring anything to you. Everybody will bring value for you. We can learn a lot of things from someone who is just by our side. And this is my little leadership relationship building exercise. We have been none, Jason. We have been none. So these are situations that have happened to me. So let's say going to the National Model United Nations. Have you found yourself with a group of students for different schools and defining out your assignment from the day? The group is from the University of Japan and many other across the US. How would you build relationship with those team members on the spot? What do you think will be great topics or great conversation topics to start talking with them? How would you bring up the assignment of today? So usually the assignment of today is creating a proposal on a topic. So the strategy of the National Model United Nations is studying everything related to your specific committee, being economics, agriculture, or security, or anything like that, making sure that one of those three topics, they give you three topics, that the one that you feel the most comfortable with gets into that resolution paper, and that your name is in that resolution paper. So how do you start building the relationship with someone, with your team, making sure that they trust you, that they know that you're knowledgeable, that you can bring something to the table, that you acknowledge them, and get your input in that resolution paper. And believe me, you have 3 days, and that's kind of hard to do because these people are coming in with the mentality of competing. They're gonna kick you out. We had days where we were like, oh, my input is in the resolution paper, and then the next day, your input in the resolution paper is out and your country is out of the proposal, and then you're not long seen. And then what happened in those 2 days that you were working so hard? Believe me, the key point here is building relationships. Build relationships. You have to be a social butterfly that day. You can't stick with one resolution paper. You can't stick with one group. You have to jump around to make sure you're in one of those. But I'll give you more details on that later. And the other one is your schedule on a 2-day Albany trip with different CUNY students across New York. How do you interact with them? And I'm going to add to this a little bit flavor. Let's say that CUNY, it's pursuing freezing tuition. How would you go ahead, convince all the CUNY students to go and talk to, go in with you to talk to a council member about freezing CUNY tuition? I think this one is really hard, Jason. Did I put this too hard? Maybe
Can
I
I
did.
volunteer?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so I'm going with the first bullet point about the Model UN thing. I'm not really sure how it works, but definitely if you want to build relationships, you need to find a common ground on what you're working on. So I would definitely talk about definitely talk about to students about why'd you join like Model UN? Like, what do you like want to do here? And then you kind of just like build it all from there. Then you find like different interests and you just like, I feel like actions do speak louder than words. So just for the fact that like you are approaching them first and you're making an immense impression on them, I feel like that'll get you so many places regardless.
Honestly, thank you so much for saying that. And I'm going to point that out. Approach someone first. That was something that Jason always told us. Be the first one to approach. Be the first one to make the first steps. That is always, always recommended. And it's interesting how you see someone react when you approach them first. Sometimes some people are a little bit defensive. Some others kind of lower themselves a little bit. And I'm like, oh, you approach me, so I feel more confident. And a lot of people, let's say, are really shy as well. So they might be thinking of approaching you and they don't. So I think approaching someone, it's really, really, really the first step in the upper hand. Just making that single step, you're winning it. Then everything just goes with the flow if you know how to keep talking. And that's when we go back to public speaking. When I say public speaking is a way of selling yourself. Like, hi, how are you? I'm Yunerys. I go to Hostos Community College. I'm a sophomore. I'm doing business management and I'm interested in here. I came with my group. This is my committee, economics. I'm interested in this topic and I'm interested in this because I think this, and this. So you already have win the ground. Like you have already said, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm bringing. Are you in? You should save a lot of time doing that. So yes, thank you so much for saying that. Approaching someone first.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else want to try? I know you have to say stuff, Estefan. I know you do.
Hey, Yunerys, Sally.
Hi, Sally. There you go.
How are you? Yeah,
I
I just. It's always great to have you. I just want to say that in that approach, also, like when you're approaching the person, I think the smile goes a long way. Like even now with the mask, you could see when somebody's smiling. So the smile goes a long way, and then you start the approach, but don't talk too much. Also start to try to listen to the person. Also be interested in the person. Don't just talk too much about yourself. Like when you put in something, also you want to hear about the other person. You want to be interested about the other person too.
Thank you so much. That's great. Anybody else? I'm gonna start picking on people again.
I really am laughing at this question, and it's such a great question. I feel like the Model UN theme here, Yunerys. Thank you so much for giving me this ability to talk about a challenge in my leadership throughout the years.
I think the Model UN is the perfect. It's the perfect.
It is.
It's the really perfect program to make a leader out of you because you have 3 days to work with these people to make something happen.
You're definitely right about that.
Yeah.
So I would say I'm gonna go for the first question. So going to National Model UN, you find yourself in a group of students from different schools, finding out your assignment for the day. The group is from University of Japan. How many? And many across. Oh, okay. I think to piggyback off of Sally, she said to greet them with a smile, but also be open to listening. I think like with leaders, especially, like we have this overwhelming need to want to pour into people and like, oh, I want to give this advice. I want to tell this, I want to do this. But I think sometimes what I've learned more recently is that you have to be able to take in as well. And I wish I had been like that when I went to Model UN, because I talk a mile a minute. So I was trying to talk to everybody, out-talk everybody, and I knew absolutely nothing. So, but I think that listening and then one, being able to create consensus very quickly based on the information that you're giving to one another. So that's a really big thing.
Thank you so much. Yeah, definitely.
Wait, that Alyssa asked, what is Model UN? Oh my goodness, Alyssa, you should sign up for Model UN and find out.
What?
I feel like if we tell you what it is, we're not going to do it justice. It's something that you need to experience. You need to experience Jason wearing a pair of blue jeans, driving a bus up to
Oh.
Washington, D.C.
My God.
It is like nothing you've ever seen before. You think like you see boss in his office is one thing, but when Jason is outside of the building, just know. But in terms of Model UN, just a quick explanation of what it is. It is a competition that brings schools from international, nationally and internationally together to mock what the UN actually does day to day. So
Oh.
they're split into committee rooms, and within those committee rooms, you have to, like I said before, form consensus and also form agreements, write position papers, resolution papers at the end of the weekend. And there's usually some prizes involved in terms of how effective your group is in interacting with other groups and other committee nations. And you have like a head delegate, like that's the person in charge of your group. So Jason can do Jason things because he has meetings too. So he'll be in committee meetings when you're in meetings as well. So it's a really great experience. If anybody who's interested, like literally, please just talk to myself, Yunerys, like we wealth of information on it. And Sally, every one of us will know, we know about it. So if you have any questions, any more questions about it, please reach out. Like it's an amazing program. I recommend it to everybody in the space.
I was just about to say, how do I join? Like,
Oh my God, same.
Sir, Jason, sir, that's your task.
Yo, you got a head delegate, Jason. Alyssa just signed up to be the head delegate this next
yeah,
year.
I'm right here.
Yes, it's a really competitive program. You spend 3 days in a hotel in different conference rooms, talking to different universities, which their mindset is to win the prizes. They want to win honorable mention. They want to win who has the most resolution papers. And the head delegate meetings are really, really strong because we have some of the best leaders of these teams who are already coming in with, I want to win, I want to win. And that's what I said, that you have to learn how to build relationship, because these people, one day you are in the resolution paper and then the other day you're not, without you being aware of. And our goal as a delegation is to be in that resolution paper, to have supported something in that resolution paper. Either you write in the resolution, which is actually really hard. These people are trained to do that. Their grades are based on this. Meanwhile, our grades are not attached. But these people have already learned how to relationship build. You see some of these people hanging out business cards when they're not supposed to, because we cannot be hanging out business cards, by the way, but some of them do. Some of them have already started a resolution paper. They have already had a template and had their idea on it. By the way, that shouldn't happen, but they do. And they are ready. They are ready and fierce. And we have to be able to, I like to say, counterattack and defend, because honestly, our grades are not based on this. Their grades are. So this competition is someone's B or A grade. So think about that.
I think, Alyssa, you said that I can't wait to build my skills. They need some improvement. Oh, this would definitely, like, this is trial by fire. This is literally, you're getting thrown to the wolves. And like, you know, Yunerys said, this is about, for some universities, it's about a grade. So they're like, oh, I need to get a 4.0 in this class. So I'm going hard. And for you, it's just an honor to be at this competition, for us more so than anything, because it was like everything that you guys do within leadership, it was brought to Jason by a student. So the fact that we continue going year after year, it's like a really big honor to be a part of it. So if you want to do it, it's like literally just like take advantage of it. Make sure your delegation is on point and they're not running around hotels without shoes on. or walking in the rain.
All right, okay, nothing about, let's skip that.
He's giving us too much now. Okay. Anybody wants to tackle the Albany trip question?
I got you. Same thing as before. Like, you just find a common ground. Like, you're a CUNY student, so you just go talk to them. And like, since you're a CUNY student too, like, you guys can like build on that. Like, oh, what CUNY do you go to? Like, what college, what major, and like, find common ground, and then you keep building it up.
Yes.
Hi everybody. I just signed in. I came in super late. I'm sorry. My name is Susan. I just wanted to ask, like, what are the requirements in terms of like financial, like, is it out of pocket? Does the school pay? Like, how does it work?
Jason, you want to answer this one? I don't think I'm.
Yeah, whatever we do, Susan, we cover the cost for it. The program has its own budget, so whatever we're participating in, like the Model United Nations or any conference that we go to, we cover the cost for that.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else want to give me another approach for the 2-day Albany trip?
Can I try?
Of course.
Okay. So on Albany. So they're on the bus, right? Or is it just like when there's already being scheduled?
You can pick any situation. I mean, I like someone who likes to take the approach from the start, but you can take it as whatever you want.
Okay, so I feel like if there was some way we would actually be able to like communicate with these specific students before actually like heading there, then I feel like it will be a great, amazing opportunity to actually start like forming that connection, like start talking to them, see how they are, seeing like, oh, what's your idea on this trip that we're gonna do? Do you have any idea what you want to do when we get there? Like, like little things you could talk to them about, so that then you can start forming some kind of relationship with those students. So then when you get there, you already have like, oh, he got this idea, or we were talking about this before. They present to the other students, and that it's a great start for what you're trying to do when you actually get there.
Yeah, definitely sounds good. Estefan, Sally, do you want to say anything about Albany trips? Something that help you out?
I haven't really been in those trips, but like from being with the Leadership Academy, I really have learned a lot about how to approach people, which I use at my job and everything. Like how the first approach, how you build trust and everything, and I use that with my patients. And honestly, almost with all my patients, they even remember me by name. Sometimes they're like, "Hi, Sally," and I'm like, "Oh," because I can't remember all the faces. And I've heard many times that they will say, "Oh, I've been coming here for so long, and this is the first time I feel like I'm a human being, like I've been cared for." And honestly, the only thing is like the approach, the smile, and I listen to them. I just listen to them, and I like they're the center of interest, and all of that is from the Leadership Academy. And I could go on and on. It's all from the Leadership Academy, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. But I haven't been in those trips because I can't really stay away like for 2 days and stuff. So I've been watching. I couldn't go. Yeah.
Thank you, Sally.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to figure out how much I can actually say, because Jason gave me a look and kind of cut me off last time, and somebody wanted to actually hear the story. But what I would say is, since like we get so many different personalities within the Leadership Academy, and this just goes to what Sally said, like we're always dealing with people from different places and different countries and different personality sets. So you guys are already doing that on the ground. So going to a 2-day trip to Albany where you're seeing people from other sections of the university, I think I said it before, it's just about listening and engagement, like making them feel important. I think Sally's mentioned this as well, just making sure that they know like, hey, like I care about the section of the university that you're from. I care about your story, and I want you to feel important and feel welcome on this trip, just like I do. I've been on tons of those trips to Albany. And the one thing that I can always remember is the way that I start talking to somebody is, hey, what school are you at? It's the base thing, like, hey, what school do you go to within this larger system that we're all a part of? And like, I don't know if you guys have noticed, we have this competitive, silent competitive nature against each other in terms of uni. So it's like, oh, I'm from Baruch, or I'm from John Jay, or I'm from like Hostos. You know what I mean? And like, once somebody says they have so much pride about it, even though when they take the classes, they're like, yo, I hate my professor like this, I hate that. But it's like a pride thing. But then it becomes like, oh, I'm part of this vaster community and I'm able to talk to you about the occurrences on my campus and find similarities between my campus and yours. And we find that we're kind of 26 campuses interconnected. So just make people feel important. Listen, you know, you might find that we're not so different. You know, even if we're from different countries and different places, we are very similar. So that's kind of what I would do. But another approach I have, and I've seen this, is to try to be to be the center of attention, which doesn't always work. I've seen this many times where somebody's like, yo, look at me, it's about me, and people will shut that person down in a quick minute.
Who's your mentor? Who's your mentor?
Who's my mentor? Yunerys is my mentor. I have so many mentors in SLA. I feel like there's a few of them. If I start talking about mentors right now, Jason would, we'll all be here all day. But I want to give time because Gladys said something. Albany, she says, I'm very spontaneous, so I'd share my enthusiasm and would ask them how they feel and try to stir up their enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is contagious. You are definitely right.
It's really contagious. Really contagious. People gravitate towards people that are sympathetic, empathetic, and enthusiastic. Yeah. I love all of these dancers, and thank you, Stefan and Sally, for jumping in. It's now I'm moving to imposter syndrome, and honestly, would it be a Yunerys workshop without talking about imposter syndrome? If you have been with me, you know that I talk about this in every single of my workshops. I know, Jason. I know, I did it. I did that. Yes. Okay. I said that I was planning on a workshop to help me when I was on your shoes. And something that I was going through when I was on your shoes a lot was imposter syndrome. So after learning all of the skills and getting all of the skills to be a leader, imposter syndrome was something that followed me, I think, even until this point. So I just want to bring a little definition of what the imposter syndrome is. And if we have to give another workshop on imposter syndrome, I'll talk a lot about it. But the imposter syndrome is the persisting ability to believe that one's success is deserved, it has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own effort or skills. It can happen at work, home, and school. Just letting you know you are capable to do what you want to do and more. Please never feel that you're not capable to do anything. That's everything that I'm gonna say with this slide. My conclusion, and I'm gonna leave with this quote: those who shine in the moment are remembered for their leadership. Those who stumble are remembered for their gaps, mixed messages, or insensitivity. Nobody remembers the leaders who retreat to their office, formulate a strategic plan, and distribute a memo the following week. What I'm saying with that is that people who shine are the people that take actions on the moment and are not only the people that retreat to their offices, but the people who are out there. And I know that is really, 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 really contradictory because I'm that type of person. But I can say I'm a leader, yes. But I know how to shine. I have my moments to know how to shine, how to show my leadership. Please don't take it against me. And that's the end of my workshop. Remember to always shine. Thank you. Any questions? Any comments?
Amazing.
So can you scroll back to the beginning of the workshop, the slides, because we missed a couple of them. I think you had like some pictures and like your resume. Could you just show that real quick?
Yes, of course. This one?
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't move a lot.
So yeah, if there's any questions, I don't want to cut off. I just wanted to make sure we went back and got the slide.
You guys were able to see that one, right?
No, we didn't see that one.
Okay, so what does impromptu mean? And when I was talking about twins and leadership, this is where the numbers came from.
So first of all, I want to thank you, Yunerys, for coming back and making a contribution to this group. She probably doesn't give herself enough justice in terms of her incredible resume, not only as a student, but also as a person out there in society making strides and making an impact. I'll give her one of the credits that she has on her resume that she doesn't take into account, that it's always at the forefront of mind, is that she was the first person in this group to do more than 200 hours of community service in 1 year, which was an extraordinary number at the time. It hasn't been matched very often, but she led the way by example. And I think when you talk about leadership, that's kind of what it's all about. And she's still doing that in a lot of ways in her life, for the people who are around her, for the people who observe her, for the people who attend workshops like these, is by leading by example. So I want to thank you, Yunerys, for being here. Well, let's give her a round of applause, however you do that in a virtual environment. I apologize for my collar not being all the way up at this point. And I want to thank the members who were here also chiming in from the former generations, who are actually still CUNY students in some cases. I want to thank the rest of you who have joined us today, who made contributions. I really enjoyed hearing from some of you, and Alyssa and others who said, they're up for the challenge of all of these things. Don't be shy. They're coming up, and if you want to be a part of things, whether you're a Hostos student or a CUNY student, we have some CUNY students in here as well. So it was nice to hear what Stefan said. Please let me know. I will connect. If you're not on Hostos, I'll connect you with your directors on your campuses. If you're not already connected, you probably are. And if you're at Hostos, then definitely come in and check in with me and follow up with the emails that I send out throughout the course of the spring semester, so that you can know what's going on and participate. And what else was I going to say? Oh, I was supposed to announce some of the book winners from the earlier part of the week. I don't know. Do I have that here? I got all confused because I had some people in the office while I was doing the workshop.
Are you in the office?
I am in the office, yeah. So
Jason, I'm coming after work.
Okay, I will give the names of the book winners in the afternoon. I'll take a couple of minutes to do that at the end of that workshop. Regardless, I'm going to send an email tomorrow with a survey for the entire workshop series, with a link and information on how to retrieve your leadership certificate for the workshop series, and also with a grid to give us your mailing address so we can get the books out to you and you can choose from the 3 or 4 different titles that we have. And I want to thank HR for helping out with the door and watching and helping people get in the room. And what else? And I look forward to seeing. We have one more workshop for this winter workshop series. It's Joshua Fredenberg, and he is all energy all the time. So if you have been at one of these workshops and you didn't have all of the energy of the world coming at you, please come back this afternoon for Josh's workshop, because he is an amazing speaker who does leadership trainings around the world, and he's going to close us out for this week. And so I look forward to you joining us this afternoon, and I look forward to being in touch with you after this workshop. And I thank you all for taking time out of your schedule to be here. And again, I love you, Yunerys. You know that the road is long, and I aspire to the days when I see you succeed in every aspect of your life. You choose to every path that you choose to follow. The last story I'll tell is Yunerys is more famous amongst us for one thing than any other thing. On a Saturday night, in the middle of whatever, February, she had to get an application somewhere and she wanted a letter of recommendation. And not only did she need a letter of recommendation, but she needed to know where she could mail it from. So this is part of my job. I'm always going to be your recommender. If you participate in these workshop series, I'm your recommender. I will write that letter of recommendation for you, whether you go to Hostos or not. And I'll do that for as long as we know each other. But if you send me a message on Saturday night in the middle of February that you need to know where to mail the recommendation letter in from, because it has to be postmarked by a certain hour, it's a little bit more challenging. And I can tell you right now where it is. You have to go downtown Manhattan to the main branch of the post office and get it postmarked there. They're open like 24 hours or until midnight or something. So that was the best advice I could give her. I don't know if she actually ran down there.
No, I'm really mad because okay, so the application was for the Clinton Foundation. They usually had their deadlines in February, and I had applied to them for like 3 following years, and they never accepted me, Jason. I don't know, they don't like me or something.
Well, we'll work on that. That's the imposter syndrome, getting in there in the very last frame of the workshop.
You using
Yes, that's correct.
okay.
You are good enough. All of you are good enough, great enough to do anything that you want and believe that you can do. And I have proof because we have a United States diplomat amongst our group. We have anesthesiologist, doctor. We have amazing people who've graduated from Hostos and gone on to do extraordinary things, including some of the folks that have been on here today. And I expect all of you who are here, who have participated in any aspect of this workshop series, to do exactly the same and to be the extraordinary people that you're meant to be in whatever field that you choose to be extraordinary in. Like Sally Seck is an extraordinary nurse, and Stefan Devia is something else at CUNY Central. And I expect everybody here to actually be the extraordinary people that they're meant to be. And so I will help you to get there. And I want to honor your time. It's 12:02. Thank you all for being here. I hope that you'll join us this afternoon. Yunerys, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you soon. And take care, everybody. I'll see you later.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. See you later.